Welcome to Every Coach Needs a Coach, the podcast for coaches of all sports and all age groups to learn from coaches and people they may otherwise never have the chance to meet. Today on See One, Do One, Teach One, I want to tell you a story about setting expectations. So let's go back to 1961. And President John F. Kennedy gave a speech before Congress regarding America's sites to land on the moon. President Kennedy stood before Congress on a hot day in May in Houston. And he challenged Americans to rally behind his call to put a man on the moon. And what he said was, if I were to say to my fellow citizens that we shall send to the moon 240,000 miles away from the control station in Houston, a giant rocket more than 300 feet tall, the length of a football field, made of new metal alloys, some of which have not yet been invented, capable of standing heat and stress in several times more than has ever been experienced, fit together with a precision better than the finest watch, carrying all the equipment needed for propulsion, guidance, control, communications, food, and survival in an untried mission to an unknown celestial body, and then return it safely to the Earth, re-entering the atmosphere at speeds over 25,000 miles per hour, causing heat about half the temperature of the sun, almost as hot as it is today here in Houston. And do all this, and do it right, and do it before this decade is out. Then we must be bold. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they're easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we are willing to accept. That's what he said, right? And the quote there. It took a total of 29 space flights before Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, and 3 Americans died in the effort, and there were several more near misses and high-risk situations. Since then, my understanding is that 12 men have walked on the moon, and there are 6 American flags in 6 different moon locations. That all started with the acceptance of a challenge to do better and a challenge to rise to the best within us as a nation and us really as a species, and refusal to let anything stand in the way of that goal. So we're talking about expectations this week. President Kennedy set the expectation that we would get to the moon. It was a lofty goal, and he recognized that it was a lofty goal, right? He even said some of the stuff hasn't been invented yet. Some of the metals don't exist. And setting the expectation that there's going to be big obstacles here, but we'll overcome them, allowed people to continue to pursue that goal with the enthusiasm that eventually made it successful. So understanding and setting that expectation is hugely important. Telling ourselves and our players, I know this won't be easy. I know this is going to be hard, and we're going to do it because it's hard. That line hits me. I don't know if it hits you guys. That line hits me. We choose to go to the moon, not because it's easy, but because it is hard. Ooh. Right? Let's do it because it's hard. So my challenge for you and your teams is set your lofty goals. Set the expectation that there's going to be obstacles, and we're going to want to stop, and we're going to want to quit, and we're going to get really frustrated. Can we all agree that we will persist and we will pursue despite those obstacles? And then go pursue it. Go pursue it relentlessly. I appreciate you. Thank you for spending some time with me. Keep getting better every day.